Got a little something on there. Hey everyone, I'm Lily, and welcome to my first deck whack tech in like a month or so. But yeah, no, I haven't been doing as many pieces as I like because I like brewing new decks and stuff. But this is actually could be interesting because this is actually the third iteration of a deck I've done a deck tech on. Actually, it's in like the top 10, I think, videos of mine. Maybe top 15. It might have dropped since then. But for a while, it was one of my top videos, was my deck tech on my 5-color humans deck for EDH. And talking is hard. Yeah. Then later, I decided to retool it. 5-color wasn't really doing it. Then also, like, the modern deck came out of 5-color humans, so it stopped being cool and trendy for playing 5-color humans. Switched to 4-color humans, running under Saskia instead of General Tazri. And recently, I have decided to change it up even further, and parse down my humans deck to 2-color humans, led by Sigarda, Heron's Grace, so Selesnya humans. Way back when I started playing EDH, Sigarda humans was actually the second deck I ever made after a very terrible Gitrog Monster deck. You know, Gitrog Monster, the super competitive, very good commander. Yeah, I made a terrible Gitrog Monster deck, which is fun. But, yeah. So, we're back to Selesnya. I did this for a few reasons. One is the 4-color mana base was really shaky in that deck, and as I kind of took a lot of the pieces out of it to fill my cube with, because, I don't know, they're more needed, like, my heart, like, I care about my decks, but my focus is on my cube. My cube gets all the best toys and things like that, and my decks they're there. Because I want to play EDH with my friends sometimes, and I don't always able to do that, but my cube, oh, I love you. But yeah, and the other reason was that, I don't know, it just kind of, and also just the inconsistent mana base was really hurting the fact that this deck kind of wants to be an aggro deck, and it also kind of stopped being a tribal aggro deck. It was more just kind of a triple good stuff deck, where it wasn't really queuing on like what makes human tribal unique. It was just, here's a pile of all creatures that are good creatures that happen to be humans. And I really wanted to refocus it into kind of like the Innistrad human themes. And that's what we're going to be doing today. So starting off, we have the commander. We have Sigarda, Heron's Grace, who is 3 green-white, so Selesnya commander, which most of the things that care about humans are in Selesnya. But she is a 4/5 angel with flying, because, okay, she's an angel, of course she is flying. You and humans you control have hexproof, so for the most part, when she's on the board, everything except her of mine will be hexproof. That line is honestly kind of questionably useful. The you being hexproof is very nice, but the humans, the thing is about humans, especially when you're going for like the pure human theme, is that most of your humans aren't super big threats, and no one wants to waste a removal spell on one of your humans. So, but she's there. And her second ability, which is 2/2 and exile a card from your graveyard to create a 1/1 human soldier creature token. So she can turn stuff in her graveyard into creatures, and that's also a little weird with how the deck wants to work. But it's there. But I'll talk about that more later. But yeah, no. She's also just generally one of the better, like, she's honestly the only commander that cares about humans mechanically. As well as being one of the better, like, Selesnya ones. Arguably, there are some other options to head up a human tribal deck. Like if you want to go like Selesnya Human Legends, there's always Captain Sisse. Honestly, because a lot of the deck is churning through and just like casting a lot of small creatures, Karametra is a defendable choice. So there you have options. I'm just going with the one that is specifically Innistrad, just because I love Innistrad, and I specifically love the humans on Innistrad and kind of the standing together against the darkness themes and stuff like that. I also love Sigarda as a character. And yeah, it just thematically fits, even if I think some other commanders might be actually better for it overall. But yeah. Let's get the boring stuff out of the way. We have the lands. Starting off, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 plains, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 forests. I do have the fancy Selesnya lands, which don't actually super fit because it's not really a Selesnya deck. This deck isn't really, it's more set in Innistrad. It would make more sense to just use Innistrad lands for this deck. And I might switch that over because I am looking at actually putting together another deck that's like an actual Selesnya theme deck to use my Selesnya lands in. But until then I'm using them in this deck because they're gorgeous. But otherwise the mana base is pretty straightforward because it is a 2-color mana base. And so first up we have Command Tower, which, I mean, for 2-color mana base, Command Tower, if you're working on a budget, isn't really necessary for a 2-color mana base, because it's good. Like, I won't say this, it's not good, but it is not necessary by any stretch of the imagination. Like, honestly, most of this deck is pretty budget. The whole thing is only like $175, and you could parse down a few cards like Herald's Horn and a few of like the card draw engines. They're like $5 each, and probably make some other adjustments and easily get this deck under 150. Probably could get even down to under 100 if you wanted to. So it is not a pricey deck by any means. Mostly because a lot of my fancy stuff goes into my cube and not these decks, but what do you do? Then we have Unclaimed Territory, which is the kind of the weaker Cavern of Souls. I used to have a Cavern of Souls in my humans deck, but I also moved that to the cube. Mostly because back when it was 4 colors, yeah, the Cavern of Souls was doing a lot of work because it was a quad land that came in untapped and stuff. When it's 2 colors, the Uncounterable Clause is nice, but it isn't game-breaking. And again, also, not many of the humans, especially when you parse it down to Selesnya, are really that big of threats. So, no one is going to spend a countering them. So yeah. One thing to note is I am not running Path of Ancestry, which is almost an auto-include for most tribal decks, but I am not because Sigarda is not a human, where Path of Ancestry is not a when there's your battlefield, choose a creature type, it's shares the creature type of your commander, unfortunately, and because Sigarda is an angel, not a human, it would not work. Even though I love that card. Getting into our dual lands, we just got a Selesnya Sanctuary. Just bounce land, because they're good. Stirring Wildwood, just cheap dual lands. Canopy Vista, Sungrass Prairie, Scattered Groves. Notably, the Canopy Vista and Scattered Groves are lands of basic land types, which some of my ramp cares about. Greypelt Refuge, a Blossoming Sands, and now we go into the fetch lands. We have Croson Verge. I mean, not fetch land, but like the bad fetches. I'm not running a Windswept Heath in this deck. Croson Verge, which is just a good land to be running. Like almost any Celestial land wants Croson Verge. Likewise, Blighted Woodland. It's like a worse Croson Verge. And then Evolving Wilds, which you might be saying, Lily, you're running a 2-color deck. Why are you running Evolving Wilds? Like, you could just be running like Elfheim Palace or something, or like a Selesnya Guildgate, and those would be better because you're not really using the shuffle effects in Selesnya. Evolving Wilds, like, they're both going to enter tapped, and at least with like a guild gate, you get both the colors, and Evolving Wilds only get one of the colors. The reason I use these is because of Sigarda. This deck actually has a lot of creature recursion, and I don't necessarily want to eat all my guys that go to the graveyard. Rather, I have these lands mostly just be food for Sigarda, where like I do not feel bad eating an Evolving Wilds for him. Also, this Evolving Wilds art is awesome. But in the same vein, Terramorphic Expanse, Grasslands, which is just the slow fetch, and a Warped Landscape. Just because Sigarda can eat them, and honestly, the deck's mana doesn't need to have just like all my lands tapping for both. It just isn't necessary for a 2-color deck. Next we have Reliquary Tower, which it's Reliquary Tower. I mean, I'm not strapped for mana, and this deck is running a lot of card advantage. Mostly because this deck really needs those engines to keep going, because I'm playing a lot of small creatures, and I draw a lot of cards by having a lot of creatures or playing creatures, and it actually does get to the point where like I'm playing so many creatures and like drawing so many cards that like I actually can end up with a pretty big hand, and I just don't have enough mana to dump out my hand, and having Reliquary Tower just helps with that. It's like, it's not one of those situations where there's very few decks that honestly don't want Reliquary Tower, but yeah, especially since it's a fair bit cheaper now that after the M19 printing. And then a Field of Ruin, just because land hate is important in the format, and I don't own any wasteland lands or strip mines, so Field of Ruin it is. Then we're going to ramp. We have Soul Ring, and I still have this awesome Altered Soul Ring that I won at GP Seattle last year from the Commander and Cosplay tournament. Actually, bring it up, like, if the camera will focus properly. Yeah! Soul Ring. Then we have Avacyn's Pilgrim, who is one of just the few mana dorks that is a human, that is in my colors. Like, the other notable one is, of course, Noble Hierarch, but she is A, expensive, and B, banned, so it doesn't work. We have Farseek, which is essentially kind of like a Rampant Growth, which is the next card. But it doesn't actually specify basics, but you just can't grab a forest. Most of the time this is going to end up gathering like a Scattered Groves, or sometimes a Canopy Vista. Or if I have both of those, it will just grab a Plains, at which point I don't care about forests, because at that point I have enough forest of green sources. Rampant Growth, just basic ramp. Selesnya Signet, Cultivate, because might as well. I need to get a Kodamas Reach for this deck still. Commander Sphere, just tap at the draw card is kind of relevant because there is a possible for like just the card draw engine to just stall on this deck, which is something I've kind of like grown. I've been spoiled by my Avacyn Life Gain deck, because it's like, I have Timna as one of my commanders. I have card draw built into my commander. Like, assuming she hasn't been killed a lot of time, I can always draw more cards. And Sigarda doesn't do that. So, I don't know, having some things that aren't card draw, but things that can help kickstart it if I fall flat, are very nice. Herald's Horn. This is actually one of the most expensive cards in the set, because it's very expensive, because it's only had one printing. But we have Herald's Horn, which is a 3-mana artifact. When it enters battlefield, choose a creature type. I usually choose human. It makes everything cost 1 less, which is actually very relevant for humans, because you might think that humans aren't super expensive, why do you care about cost reduction? But like I said, like a lot of my card draw is talking about them casting them or entering the battlefield, and I'm drawing more cards and drawing to more humans, and making, when I'm like, sure, if you make like a big dragon 1 less, okay, it's a little bit cheaper, this is just a ramp spell and just ramping you 1, but I have had many terms where I've played 5-6 humans, and this has just become essentially a 6-mana mana rock. And on top of that, it has a card draw advantage, which is at the beginning of your upkeep, look at the top card of your library. If it's a creature card of the chosen type, you may reveal it and put it in your hand. So it just gives you also just that little bit of extra card advantage. It's, I mean, for one printing, there's a reason it's so expensive. It's like 18 bucks. But it really needs another printing, because one isn't enough for, honestly, kind of an auto-include in most tribal decks. Shaman of Forgotten Ways, which is a 2 and a green for a 2/3 mana dork, but he adds 2 mana, but only for creature spells. But it's also very scary. It's actually one of the scarier humans in the deck that people might want to spin removal on, which is why Sigarda becomes a bit more useful by giving him hexproof. Because if you have Formidable, which just means you have 8 power or more, which this deck usually just goes wide and will have 8 power or more, you may pay 11 and tap it, so a lot of mana, but the deck can do that. And each player's life total becomes the number of creatures he or she controls. So is it Biorhythm that's a fact? I think so. It just can, if anyone doesn't have creatures on the board, they just die. Which is just, it's a very scary effect. It is 11 mana, which this deck can do if the game goes long, but it's not really geared to do it. But I'm mostly running him as just like a mana dork that's also has that nice indivisibility. And we have Cryptolithrite, which is honestly one of my favorite cards. But it's 1 green for an enchantment, which turns all of your creatures into mana dorks. They tap for any color of mana, which is just, it's super powerful, especially when I'm pumping out lots of tokens, and it lets me like have that engine to start spiraling out of control, where it's like I'm drawing more rings and I have lots of mana available. And Cryptolithrite just helps enable those really big like spirally turns where this deck is just playing out a lot of guys. Where like most of the individual creatures in this deck are not super big threats. They don't really do that. But it's just the having these explosive turns where I'm able to just dump a board onto a host of things onto the board that really just makes this deck explode. Next off, we're up to just kind of what are things that are like help synergize with humans? Like, why are we in human tribal? So first up, we just got some of the generic tribal boosting things. We have an Obelisk of Erd, which is a 6-mana artifact of Convoke, so you can essentially tap your creatures as to pay it, and you choose creature type when you enter the battlefield, and it gives everything +2/+2, which is a sizable like anthem effect. And since I am going wide, I can usually tap this out and pay very little if I want to for this. We have Vanquisher's Banner, which is another choose creature, and it anthems them, so it gives them all +1/+1. And whenever I cast a creature of that type, I draw a card. This is the first of one of those like engine pieces that just like gets it going and starts moving along. Kindred Boon, which is 2 white for an enchantment. When you're battlefield, choose a creature type. You can pay 1 white to put a divinity counter on target creature you control of the chosen type. Each creature you control with a divinity counter on it has indestructible. So it lets me pay essentially 2 mana after this is down to give things indestructible, which is very good. Like I said, most of my things aren't huge threats, but just making my board a little bit more resilient to board wipes and things like that is just very nice. Also the fact that like it makes blocks really awkward, because it's like, yeah, you can like block and stuff, but I can just like make my things indestructible as much as I want. And if I tap with this thing, I can usually make my entire board indestructible very quickly. Then we have Metallic Mimic, which is just a 2-mana 2/1. When it enters battlefield, choose a creature type, and it causes all those creatures to enter battlefield with +1/+1 counter. This one's neat because it's just one of those ones that's like nice. It's like an anthem that if it gets removed, it doesn't remove its bonuses, but also doesn't work retroactively, which is not as great, but yeah. Then we have Veteran Cathar, which is 1 and a green for 2/2 that you may pay 3 and a white to give a human double strike. It's expensive. It's mostly there for flavor reasons. It isn't the best thing to slot in there, but I mean there are situations where it can enable like some weird blocks and stuff, especially when it's late game and I just need a mana sink and there's some creatures that can get quite large in this deck, and just giving that double strike is quite nice at sometimes. But it's mostly there for flavor reasons. Like, there's only so many, like, cards that actually mechanically care about humans, and I'm running most of the ones I have because I want to justify that this isn't just a humans good stuff deck. I'm trying to make an actual humans deck. We have Cavalry Pegasus, which is 1 and a white for a 1/1 flyer. That whenever it attacks, it gives all my humans flying, which is really nice evasion. Also, how is my entire army flying on that single Pegasus? Who knows? Now into the good human cards, we have Talia's Lieutenant, which is a 2-mana 1/1. Enters battlefield, put a +1/+1 on all your humans. Whenever a human enters battlefield, put a +1/+1 on her. So it's kind of like a one-off lord, and then it self-grows, and it's good. It's played modern. Fun fact, it's a good card. I'm just saying, it's Talia's Lieutenant. Hamlet Captain, who is a 2-mana 2/2, who is a lord as long as he is attacking or blocking. So it's kind of like this awkward thing where it's like not always on, it's sometimes on, but not always. But it's a lord, and it's a 2-mana lord, so yeah. Heron's Grace Champion, which is a 2 green and a white for a 3/3 with flash and lifelink. No, he is a lord which gives +1/+1 and gains lifelink, but only for 1 turn for when he enters. So he isn't like an ongoing thing, but at the same time, you can flash him in on a big strike or something and mess up locks and stuff, but mostly just to give that like nice buffer of life gain, which is very nice, especially if you're in aggro v aggro matchup where you're like, there's a lot of damage going around, and obviously like you're being tapped down because you're doing that, and this can provide like, I think I once had a 50-point life swing from this card, which was just like very nice. Like again, like once he comes down, it's kind of awkward because he doesn't do that much besides just being a decent body, but it is kind of just like, it's a nice kind of like very good charge type effect on top of some other things. Next we have Angel of Glory's Rise, which is a 7-mana 4/6 flying. When it enters battlefield, exile all zombies, and then return all human creature cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. This is honestly the best card in the deck. The fact that it's 7 mana, but the fact that it is just reanimates all of my stuff, apart from the few non-creature humans I haven't, and just in one fell swoop, is just very good. This is one of those cards which just like helps bring me back. Like when it's a long game and I'm just like, okay, what am I gonna do? How am I gonna get back from this game? It's like, oh yeah, I just hope I draw Angel of Glory's Rise. And like one of the things that like tribal aggro decks struggle with is dealing a board wipe, and this is one of the best answers to dealing a board wipe. There's like no better feeling than like the group, like someone wiping the board, and then next turn you just slamming Angel of Glory's Rise and like, oh look, my entire team is back. Take that, nerds. Yeah, no, just it's good. Angel of Glory's Rise is good in a deck where it's all about humans. And now we're going into our actual humans themselves. We have first up we have 3-Minute Spectre, which is a 1-mana 1/2. And Winter's Battlefield, investigate. And that makes a clue, and you pay 2 and sacrifice a draw card. Honestly, it's just, I kind of think it's like, I kind of play him as just an elvish visionary. Like, it's like, sure, it's 3 mana to draw a card instead of 2 mana, but you don't actually have to pay it all at once. And, I mean, yeah, no. I mean, you run elvish visionary in an elf deck, and I run Thabernic Spectre in a human deck, so replaces itself, its body. What else? What more do you want? Shana's Sisei's Legacy, which is a 2-mana 0/0 that gives essentially +1 +1/+1 for each creature you control, and it also can't be the target of abilities, which is sometimes relevant. But she's mostly just a human that scales very well because this deck is very go wide. There is a token sub-theme that we'll get into later to help just go wide, and Shana can get quite large in that situation. It's one of those things where this is another one of the creatures where like Sigarda's full hexproof can be quite useful. Next we have Frontline Medic, which is a 3-mana 3/3 with Battalion. Whenever it and 2 other creatures attack, which is not hard for this deck, all my creatures become indestructible. Which is just very nice for like, especially since a lot of my guys are very small, and it's very easy for like attacks to become very costly because I'm having to throw my guys at theirs and like I'll lose, like take casualties to just get in some damage, which is awkward. And Frontline Medic makes sense, like, no, I won't take casualties from just attacking you. Like I can't run Iroas in this deck, but this is a mono white Iroas in a lot of ways, so. And you can sacrifice him to counter a spell of excellence government cost unless its controller plays 3, which isn't super relevant, but it is nice to, it just tax any opponents who are looking to do that, or they might forget about it, and you're able to be like, haha, but for the most part I'm running this for the first part of that ability. Next up we have a Custodi Soul Color, which is 1 white for 1/2 with melee, which is, if you don't know, if you didn't play much Conspiracy 2, which you should, because it's awesome. If you ever have the chance to draft Conspiracy 2, do it. Or Conspiracy 1. Conspiracy is really fun, but melee is, whenever it attacks, it gets +1/+1 for each opponent you're attacking. So it's attacking at least one thing, so it usually attacks as a 2/3. But also whenever it attacks, you get to reanimate something of CMC X or less, where X is the number of creatures you're attacking, so you can like throw it, like if you're attacking 2 guys, you can just reanimate one of your your good things, and most of my humans I care about are 3 CMC or less, so he's reanimating a lot of stuff. And so he's just like a little mini Sun Titan. Oh yeah, you go you. Yeah. Borderland Ranger. You is a 2 and green for a 2/2. Emerge battlefield, search your library for your basic land, put in your hand, shuffle your library. He's a human who replaces himself. Like, gets me land, fixes my mana if I need to. That, not this deck really cares about that, but it's a creature that replaces itself, and I'm not gonna say no to that. Baird, Steward of Argive, which is 2 white for a 2/4 vigilance. Creatures cannot attack you or planeswalker control unless their controller plays 1 for each of those creatures. So I mean, he's Propaganda or Ghostly Prison on a creature and on a human, and honestly, like, the main benefit of things like these effects isn't necessarily the amount, but the fact that it's there and people don't want to be taxed to attack you. So just even having like half a Ghostly Prison is useful. Granted, like, he's easy to remove and things like that, but he's still real solid. And the fact that he's also human works out for that. But honestly, as a deterrent to attack you, he works almost as well as a Ghostly Prison. He just isn't as good when it's one of those like strikes where like, we need to kill this person. Undrick Master Tactician, who is a 4-mana 3/4 first strike. And whenever he and 3 other creatures attack, you choose which creatures block this combat and how those creatures block. And again, attacking 3 creatures is not hard in this deck, and essentially making all my guys unblockable, or otherwise positioning it to just be a removal spell every combat, is good. Fun fact. But yeah, no, it's just very powerful. Yeah. Also, that's an awesome sword. Courageous Outrider, which is a 4-mana 3/4, and when it's battlefield, you look at the top 4, you choose a human, reveal, put it in your hand, rest on the bottom. Again, it's just a human that replaces itself. It can miss, but this deck, I'd say it hits about 3/4 of the time in my experience. I haven't actually crunched the numbers. I probably should, but yeah, it's just one of those humans that replace itself, and I'm honestly happy for that. Palace Sentinels, which is a 4-mana 2/4, and when you're battlefield, you become the Monarch. And I've talked about how much I love the Monarch mechanic in my past videos, but this deck also, because I'm going really wide and have lots of tokens, I don't mind just throwing like a swarm of them at the Monarch to get the Monarchy back, and also have a swarm of tokens to not die because I just got attacked because I'm now the Monarch. This deck is good at holding the Monarchy, so Palace Sentinels, very nice. Also, if I need to, my commander flies, so if they don't have air defense, I can also get them there. And the last of these set of humans, we have Juniper Order Ranger, which is a 5-mana 2/4. Whenever another creature enters battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on that creature and a +1/+1 counter on Juniper Order Ranger. Kind of just functions as a general lord, like it's a general metallic mimic that also grows himself, and it's just a real solid creature. There's not much to say about the fact that he's just good, and he's a human in the colors I want. And with the amount of tokens and stuff I'm spewing out, he can get quite big quite fast. But speaking of tokens, we're going to move into the token creators of this deck. Most of them will create human tokens, although there's one, I believe, that isn't a human token creator that just is fine. Like, I tried to stick to human tokens where I can. One thing I'm not running that makes human tokens is recently Hero of Precinct 1, which, A, because I only have one of them, and B, I haven't gone on my way to really pick one up. Another one for this deck is that this deck just doesn't run enough multicolored cards. Like, back when it was 4-color humans, yeah, I would totally run Hero Precinct 1 because almost all the deck was multicolored cards. But most of the deck is monocolored cards in this deck, so it just doesn't work as well. But first we have Gather the Townsfolk, which is 1 white for a sorcery that just creates 2 1/1s. And it has Fateful Hour, which just means you get more if you have 5 or less life. But if you have 5 or less life in Commander, you're very rarely at 5 or less life in Commander. Usually you go from like 10, like in the teens, to dead in like 1 go. So that isn't usually relevant, but it's mostly just 2 bodies, 2 mana. Oh yeah. We have Handwear Militia Captain, which in the front is just a bear. But if at the beginning of your upkeep, if I have 4 more creatures, which again, this deck does not have any trouble doing, unless it's like a very bored, wipe happy group, turns into Westvale Cult Leader, who is a Shauna in the way that equals power toughness number of creatures I control. But also at the beginning of my end step, I make 1/1 white and black human Krilleric creature token. So she just slowly pumps out humans over time and also grows big herself. Next we have Thraben Doomsayer, which is a 3-mana 2/2. You can just tap him to make a human. And also again, he has Fateful Hour 2 that like gives everything +2/+2. But again, that almost never happens. Thraben Doomsayer, another thing, just makes a token every turn. And it's human himself, and it's cool, and it's just a solid human. Increasing Devotion, which is 3 white for a sorcery that just makes 5 humans. But it also has Flashback for 9 mana, that if you cast it for Flashback, you make instead 10 humans, which is honestly just instant massive board state, which is really nice. It's just like small army and a single card has Flashback for even a bigger army. I like that. And they're humans, so that's cool. We have Lena, Selfless Champion, which is a 6-mana 3/3. Put when enters battlefield, create for each non-token creature you control, you make a 1/1 soldier. Not a human. Okay, that's fine. It's annoying to keep track of like, oh, these aren't the humans, they don't get all my buffs and stuff, but okay, she goes white a little bit, and that's relevant to just have a board presence. But you can sacrifice her to make smaller creatures than her indestructible until end of turn. So she's nice like board wipe insurance. Gideon, ally of Zendikar, which I'll be completely honest, I mostly use this as a 4-mana anthem that can't be interacted with. I mostly use them as a 4-mana planeswalker. He hits the battlefield, I'm -4. I give everything +1/+1 as just kind of a go wide payoff. You can also make knight allies and stuff, but I don't really care about that. And he can turn himself into a human, so it's like flavorfully like relevant, but it's not really what I'm looking to do. Angelic Exaltation, it's kind of like a benefit for going very wide, which is 3 and a white for an enchantment. Whenever a creature you control attacks alone, it gets +X on turn until X for X is the number of creatures you control. So essentially gives all your creatures exalted. And it's funny that, like, what's the best creature to attack with this, with my army of things, for Angelic Exaltation? Oh look, it's an angel that happens to be my commander. But yeah, it just works really well with commander with Sigarda, because it just makes her big, makes it commander damage. And it's also nice just because, like, oh look at my small tokens, they can go in one at a time and not having to, like, suicide part of my board to get in those very big hits. And yeah. But also often Sigarda, because flying and commander damage. Then we have Second Harvest, which is 2 green for an instant. For each token you control, put a token onto the battlefield that's a copy of that permanent, so it just doubles your tokens. In addition, also to token stuff, remember that Sigarda herself makes a lot of tokens. So, yeah. And speaking of tokens, we're moving into the engine things. Like, because, like, you notice, like, a lot of the humans are very cheap, they're kind of small. So I just want to be, like, drawing lots of cards, replaying out my humans, getting lots of value. So we can move the card advantage section. Oh look, we have a lot of X1s. I wonder how we're going to draw cards off of that. It's Skullclamp. I have a commander that makes X1s for 2 mana. How about just add 1 more mana onto that and draw 2 cards? I'll take it. It's Skullclamp. Any deck that you're running tokens, you're running Skullclamp. It's Skullclamp. We have Duskwatch Brooder, who is mostly just kind of like a late game mana sink to help dig for my creatures. He is a 2 mana 2/2 who's a werewolf and transforms into this side that we don't care about. That just makes my things less, and it's not a human anymore, so I don't really care. But I mostly just care for the fact that you can pay 2 and a green and look at the top 3 cards, choose a creature card, put it in your hand. So it just helps dump mana and turn it into cards, which is nice, and something that often, in those situations where the engine does stall in this deck, he can help get it back going. Then we have Ulvenwald Mysteries, which is a really nice one to help me build from a board wipe, who is 2 and a green for an enchantment. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, investigate. So I make a clue token that I can pay mana to sacrifice it and draw a card. And whenever I sacrifice a clue, I make a new 1/1 human soldier. So yeah, just get that more engine stuff going. Yeah. But just like, all my guys die, board wipe, I get to make a bunch of clues and spend the next 2 turns like sacrificing clues, cashing them in, and then when I cash in the clues, also getting guys, then replay my, like, drawn to hopefully more humans, and play them like that. And just, it really helps rebuild that. Does it take a little bit of work to rebuild after a while? Yes, but it is nice. Yeah. Next we have Lifecrafter's Bestiary, which is a 3 mana artifact, which, at the beginning of your upkeep, scry 1. Whenever you cast a creature spell, you may pay green. If you do, draw a card. So this scry 1 is nice, just to help, like, find and help keep the engine running nice and smoothly. And that extra green, because, like, most of my creatures are quite cheap, and it is kind of awkward for, like, when I'm wanting to just cycle through creatures as fast as possible. But it's just one of those things where it's like, I really like these on-cast bonuses to help draw some more cards. We have Mentor the Meek, which this isn't really, like, specifically out of my way to be kind of like a small guys deck, but most of the humans just end up being small in general. So he's a 3 mana 2/2 that whenever a creature power 2 or less enters battlefield, I may pay 1. If I do, draw a card. Again, I have a commander who makes 1/1s. This turns my commander also into a card draw engine, which is useful. Guardian Project, new one from Allegiance. We have 3 and a green for an enchantment. Whenever a non-token creature is battlefield under control, irrelevant text for commander, draw a card. Again, this is just like one of the, like, when I keep talking about my engine, these are the pieces that just being like, this lets me play 3 Inspector, draw a card. Attack the blue, draw another card. Okay, play 2 more creatures, draw more cards and more humans to play those and keep going. And that's what this deck is really looking to do. Creeping Renaissance. This is one of those reasons I'm like, I don't want to eat my creatures because I'm using recursion of like this, Custodes Soulcaller, Angel Flores Rise, or Sigarda. I'm using Sigarda sparingly and stuff that I don't care about coming back. Because Creeping Renaissance is 5 mana and you choose a permanent type, which I usually choose creature, and I return them all from my graveyard to my hand. It also has flashback for 7, so that's cool. So it just really helps me reboard after a board wipe, which these aggro tribal decks really struggle with. And I'm putting a lot of protections. Like, you'll notice I've tried very hard to like make sure that board wipes will not just end the game for me. Shamanic Revelation, which is 3 green for a sorcery. Draw a card for each creature you control. And you also gain life if you control big creatures, but this deck isn't really looking to do that unless I like have enough lords out and stuff. But it's mostly just like, oh look, I have like 6 tokens on the board. This is 5 mana, draw 6. And it's just a nice like refill my hand. If like I ran out of creatures, which is nice. Same thing with Camaraderie, which is same thing, 1 more mana with also costing white. You'll also gain life and also anthems all of them. So that's nice and cool. Also, it's the Selesnya, and the Selesnya are the best. I don't know if I've talked about that before. The Selesnya are the best. Go Selesnya. Yeah. And then we have Sentinel Woodreaders, which is a 2 and a green for a 1/4 with kicker for 2 and a green. And if you pay the kicker cost, you also get divination on top of it. 6 mana, give yourself a 1/4 human and also divination. It's just a decent card. It's nothing insane, and like honestly, this deck could use more like high-end stuff. Like that's one of the things I'm really looking to upgrade this deck with, is like more like ways to just close out games faster, like things like Cathar's Crusade and stuff like that. But it's just a decent, like, it'll just draw you some cards, especially if you have any of the engine pieces out at that point. It's just drawing you a lot of cards and getting you a lot of value. It's essentially, it's 2 Thraben Inspectors stapled together. So, yeah. We have Seasons Past, which is 4 green for return any number of cards of different converted mana cost from your graveyard to your hand. And then you put it on the bottom of your library. It mostly just helps refill my hand. And the thing is also, a lot of my more expensive stuff is my card draw stuff, so it helps me just get that going. As well as my like cheaper humans and stuff. Right, next up we're on to removal. First we just have Path to Exile, because it's just a good white removal spell. I need to get a sword through this deck. We have Bounty Agent, which is 1 and a white for 2/2 Vigilance. And you pay Sacrificer to destroy like a legendary, which is very relevant in Commander, where there's these things called commanders that are running around that you can kill with her. Yeah. War Priest of Thune, who is just another 2 mana human who destroys an enchantment. There's a lot of benefits of humans as a tribe, like not more than just like the like good stuff, but they also just have like a wide range of very good utility creatures that other tribes don't have. Beast Within, like sometimes you just gotta destroy whatever you need and give them a beast, but that's okay. Forsake the Worldly, because I put this in almost all of my white decks. It kills gods. It has cycling if you need to heal your 3rd land drop. It exiles, not just destroy for like artifact deck like combo pieces. It's just like the ultimate naturalize in my opinion. It's a good card. It's also very cheap. Get 20. You'll use them. And this one, there's 2 cards here which I love because they're very flavorful. They're not the best removal pieces, but I really like them. First we have Gallows Willow Hill, which is a 3-mana artifact. You can pay 3 and tap it, and tap 3 untap humans I control to destroy target creature, and they get a white spirit. It's a lot of mana. I have to have enough creatures. I have to tap them down. It costs a lot of mana every time I want to activate it, and it gives them a spirit after it. But it's very flavorful, and I like it. And it cares about humans, so it's there. This one I think is actually much better, which is Devout Chaplain, who is a 3-mana 2/2. You may tap her and 2 other humans you control to exile target artifact or enchantment. It's just kind of like this exile naturalize on a stick, which is super nice. It's just, oh, it's very good and very efficient at what it does. It's just like wipe the board of anything that isn't a creature over a few turns. It's just like, yes. How would you like to proceed now that all your stuff has been cleansed by the Church of Avacyn or something? It's just very nice. Also, flavorful. Only ran a couple wipes in this deck, mostly because this deck doesn't want to be board wiped, because it's all creatures. Like, I'm a creature aggro deck. I don't want to bore up the board. They're could be the ones wiping my board. But first I just got a Fumigate, because I love this card, because A, it's a 5-mana destroy all creatures, and you gain 1 life for each creature destroyed this way. So it's like, it's just a general destroy all creatures, but also just getting that life actually gives you such nice cushion, especially on a large board. I think actually my record for this one is gaining 120 life off of Fumigate, which felt so good. Oh, granted, part of that was, it wasn't in this deck, that was my life gain deck, and part of it was because there was a Sangromancer on board, but still it felt very good. You also have Descend Upon the Sinful, which is mostly there for flavor reasons. There are better board wipes to be running, but it's a 4 white and exile all creatures, and if I have Delirium and make a 4/4 Angel, which I don't really care about. But it is an exile for anything that is like bringing stuff back and just is like, it's like, and deals with indestructible creatures. But it's also mostly there for flavor reasons, like Innistrad and stuff. Next we just have a couple more pieces to protect our board. First we have Heroic Intervention, which is 1 and a green. Also another one of like the most expensive cards in the deck, which you could cut for like budget reasons. Which just gives all my permanents Hexproof and Indestructible until end of turn. Like, these artifacts are nice. Like, it's nice replacement like Boros Charm, because they don't have access to Boros Charm anymore. Like, honestly, for humans, I think almost the best color combination is actually Naya to be running for humans, just because there's a lot of good, like, red aggro pieces that this deck kind of wants, that it would really benefit from, but I'm sticking with Selesnya, because Selesnya's best now. Also, Innistrad flavor reasons. We also have Unbreakable Formation, which I'm very rarely using the amendment portion of this. I'm mostly just using it as a 3-mana, they all get indestructible. All I could see using it just like the main phase one if I need to like get that extra strength to like get in a kill, which has that utility there, but it's mostly there just to save my board from a board wipe. Next we have an Authority of the Consuls, which is mostly just to slow down my opponents, give me a buffer of life, because it makes my opponent's creatures interbuffle tapped, and whenever they play a creature, I gain a life. So it gives me a buffer against aggro decks, it slows down aggro decks, and it slows down people playing blockers for me to get in, so it like opens my aggro strategy up. And it's also only 1 mana, so it's very efficient in what it does. And then we have Triumph of the Hordes, which is one of the best ways for this deck to win. It's 2 green, till end of turn. Creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain Trample and Infect. A lot of people don't like this card, because they die out of nowhere. I like this card. Lets me kill people out of nowhere. Also, I still have to have like a good board presence. Like, this is more fair than a lot of infinite combos. It's just like the aggro way. It's the aggro version of combo. Let's be honest. Triumph of the Hordes. It'll kill you out of nowhere, but so will most combos. And this one, I still have to work for it. Stop being salty at me. I'm running Triumph of the Hordes. I can't do anything about it. And then finally we have some nice footwear. We have Lightning Greaves, because haste and shroud are good, especially when I'm like wanting to go aggro, especially if I like want to like lightning greaves up my Sigarda, so like everything is hexproof. And I also have Swift Boots, because again, it's an aggro deck. I want to get in there. I want to go fast. And sometimes you just need some fashionable boots to do so. And with that, that is in fact the whole deck. So, yeah, no, I've played this like a fair few times now since I have restructured it into Selesnya, and honestly, I really like how this plays. It feels a lot more focused, it feels a lot more flavorful, it goes back to like what I originally was playing years ago when I first built my, like what my humans deck evolved into, like started with, before it like evolved into just this general kind of creature value deck that was just good stuff, and not like this concentrated human aggro, which I really like. But yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if there's any commanders you'd like me to brew for, because I'm always looking for new things to brew and kind of like do deck techs on, because I can like build from a cube and do other things like that. And yeah, so let me know if you have anything you want to see. Yeah, no, I hope you'd like that, and I hope you have a wonderful night. I hope you sleep well. And as always, may your stories smile upon you.